morning is Tuesday. Well, I slept reasonably well last night, but the eye bags are a bit of a terror this morning, hence the shades. And you know I like my shades, you know how it is. So I thought I'd pop them on for this. So yeah, I had a bit of a kip. I went to sleep about probably between 9 and 10. And of course, Italian time is an hour ahead of the UK. And I've been up since 2 in the morning. So I was quite tired. Slept through most of the night, got up once or twice, and had some mineral water. And it stayed sort of dry until about 3, and then it was thunder and torrential rain, and you know, absolutely tipping down till about 6 this morning. I got up about 7:40, had breakfast, really good. Buffet type breakfast is a big thing in Italy, so I'm going to try and shoot some more of the hotel now while it's sort of quiet this morning. I did try to shoot outside on the balcony. As soon as I did so, it started to drizzle like mad. So obviously there's a curse on my filming, because before that there were hints of sunshine. I don't know what I'm going to film today. I do have an itinerary, which I can't see the weather being good enough for me to stick to what I wanted to do today. So I'm going to try and shift that later in the week. So again, it's going to be a bit sort of scattershot, but we'll see what we can come up with. So I think now I'm going to log off, get out there, and see what I can show you. Okay, well, we're going to attempt the definitive Capri walk this morning, and I've got my old favourite t-shirt on, which I've had for about 15 years, but usually brings me luck, if there is such a thing. Just so we'd have a look at the lie of the land to see the orientation of how things are this morning. There's Monte Solaro, and just under 2,000 feet, shrouded in mist, as you see, and we can see a little bit of the bay over there, and people just arriving on a funicular. So we're going to get out of town before the crowds arrive. I've never actually been in the church, so I must do that later, because there's going to be a point where it'll be too wet to do anything. And pause for a moment. So yeah, so that's where I was sitting yesterday, and I'll probably do the Piccolo Bar and the Grand Cafe. I never normally do Cafe Tiberio. So this is kind of the definitive Capri walk we're doing now. So we head out of the piazza and along Via Boutique. As you see, all sorts of things along here. This is Villa Behring, where Gorky lived, and used to get Lennon around. She'll flash the dates up on the screen. And as you see, the house is red, in tandem with his communist leanings. There's always bins here. I'm always saying there's both bins everywhere in the UK, but this bit of Capri there's always bins as well. So it is what it is. Yeah, so if you go back to about 1908, 1913, there were lots of Russians here, communists, Bolsheviks, what have you, different factions, and they were planning the next revolution, the successful one. Well, successful for them, whether it was for anybody else, it's for history to decide, really, I guess. So this walk, which as I say is kind of the definitive Capri culture walk, shows you a lot of literary stuff, which is great. I've walked along here many times, and there used to be a little marmalade ginger cat who lived along here, and he was always sitting on the wall, and everybody would fuss him. I imagine he's long gone now, because I've been here for 7 years, and I think he was here in 2010, 2015, 2016. Oh look, but there's a different cat, one of the cats of Capri. Hotel Asperia there. Here he is, look at this guy. He's cool. He's checking out the weather. Let's see if he's friendly. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Pussy boy. Oh yes, you are, aren't you? You're slightly raggedy tabster. Yeah, but you're very vocal. Oh, a little bit of cough there. You want some? Are you a feral? He looks like a feral cat to me. There are feral cats on Capri, and people feed them. So he looks, yeah, he's very thin. He looks like one of the feral cats. Unfortunately, darling, I don't have any food on me. But at least you're somewhere beautiful, and somebody will look after you. Oh, right, okay. So there you go, the cats of Capri. I think all the locals are wondering why I'm wearing shades given the weather, but I say the eye bags are just terrible. Vanity prevents me from removing them. Well, I'm removing them and I'm not in frame, of course, but it is what it is. So yeah, so it's quite a hike. Normally to go to Villa Lysis, I leave the centre of Capri at about 9 AM. It doesn't open till 10. She's shut on Mondays. I'm hoping it's open today. The hotel was supposed to check for me and they didn't seem to take any notice, so that's a black mark. I always think this is a great viewpoint. I love that tree in the centre of the frame. I don't know what sort of tree it is. I used to be good on trees, but I'm not essentially good on European ones, but fantastic. And yeah, I am feeling more optimistic because there is some blue there. I keep kidding myself that that's the case. And I've sat here on these benches many times on the way up, usually in blazing sunshine. Okay, so this is an important crossroads. As you see here, it says Via Matermania and the Arco Naturale. Now, we can go straight down there and do the Pizzolungo walk, but we're doing the villas as well. So we need to head up here, via Tiberio, by Jovis, Villa Jovis, you see. So we ascend and things start to get a bit steep for a while. Of course, it's nothing to somebody who grew up on the mountains in Wales. I love this little area. There's a little school here, and there it is, elementary school, so that's where the tots go. And there's a little restaurant here, which I've never eaten at, and I always quite fancy sitting outside here. Later in the day, they tend to be open and do drinks and what have you, so there we are. And as I say, there was a big football match recently and Napoli won and everybody was excited, and there's a little park. As I've noticed that, and obviously that's for the local children, so yeah. Now of course, one of the reasons why Capri was so beloved of aesthetes and painters and intellectuals is of course that back in the 19th century a lot of them were gay, and because being gay was illegal in most places in the Western world and the world generally. Villa Monatella.
Hello, hello.
So yeah, it was one of those things where they could come here and be fairly safe. There were some scandals as they started to get more bourgeois, but a huge number of literary and artistic figures who came here were homosexual men. And of course, the thing is that, you know, things are very different now. Everybody's a lot more understanding, but then it wasn't so much the case. There was a certain amount of pederasty that went on and male prostitution, which sort of gave Capri really an air of decadence. But that decadence goes way back to the Emperor Tiberius. Now, as I've already said, Tiberius ruled the known world from here in Capri for the last 8 to 9 years of his reign, and he left Rome because he was afraid of an insurrection from a guy called Sejanus. And once he got away, he had Sejanus and his cohort sort of all murdered. But most of the accounts of Tiberius are from Suetonius and Tacitus, who were writing a long time after. And you know, they had their own agendas. And the idea is that he was nowhere near as bad as he was often painted. Okay, so we come to another crossroads here. This is an important one. So here on Via Tiberio, and as you see, Villa Lysis is to the left, and that's where we're going. And we're going to have to come back down here later on and go that way. Now you can walk a rustic path from Villa Lysis up to Villa Jovis, but I'm not going to do it in this weather. It's just quite rough underfoot, overgrown. Pat and I did it once, and it's okay, but I'm not really up for it this time. You need sturdy shoes and you need the weather to be dry, and when we did it, boy, it was hot, it really was. This is Villa Wordsworth, not the Romantic poet, funny enough, but his nephew a bit later, and he lived here quite a long time, so I guess he must have done okay on the royalties from his more famous uncle. There are poppies here, and of course the opium poppy has quite an interesting connection to Capri, because if you read about Helen of Troy, and of course Helen of Troy is the reason why Odysseus, Ulysses, goes off to fight in the Trojan War from Greece, and she used to take a drug called nepenthe, which was derived from opium poppies. So basically you're talking about heroin, an opiate. It's not heroin in the sort of way that we understand heroin, but it's the same ballpark, because it's an opiate. Look at those lemons, isn't that fantastic? And, you know, nepenthe, it would sort of surcease from sorrow, as it were, is what it would give her. So yeah, so that's an interesting thing. So this is Via Moneta, but we're heading to Villa Lysis. This is a beautiful villa here. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And as you see, they've grown oranges here. Lovely. La Scavia. Beautiful. Villa Aurora. I could really handle this. So there you go, Helen of Troy, nepenthe, opium, and when Norman Douglas, the Scotch writer who settled on Capri for many years, notorious for flings with young boys, he wrote all sorts of things about the geography and natural history of Capri and the Sorrentine Peninsula. He wrote a novel called South Wind. Which was published, I think, about 1917, and is set on Capri, except Capri's called nepenthe in it, so there you go. And it goes back to the Homeric connection, because of course Helen of Troy, Trojan War, Ulysses, Odysseus, and then of course there's the biggest hit single by my favourite band, the Stranglers, Golden Brown, Texture Like Sun. And of course Golden Brown wasn't just about a woman with brown skin, it was also about heroin, which the band were taking at that point. And of course it contains the lines on her ship tied to the mast, which is a reference of course to Ulysses tied to the mast as he sails past the Siren Island, past the sirens, and I can hear their song, and it's seductive and beautiful. I've left the Piazzetta about 9:20, so it's taken half an hour to get this far, with a few stops, not many. But yeah, you're seeing the real Capri. You notice there's goats here. What does Capri mean? Well, it means Goat Island or Wild Boar Island. And there's no wild boars here anymore. They were at one point, I'm sure. But I have seen goats here. And I saw them up at Villa Jovis, funny enough, only the once, but there were quite a few of them. And they were standing on walls high above, you know, drops hundreds of feet to the sea, but they just didn't care. You know what goats are like, they're very fleet of foot and they can get their purchase and what have you. This is quite a vertiginous path, as you see, to Villa Lysis, aka Villa Fersen. So Lysis is closed, which is a real blow having walked up here. But I'm going to head for Villa Jovis now, Tiberius's palace. I'm sure that'll be open. Obviously it's a weather thing, because normally this time of year it is open. I'll just show you, this is a path to Villa Jovis. As I say, it's a bit rough underfoot, so I'm not going to take that today. But I'm going to give you one more shot of Lysis through here. And hopefully I can get up here later in the week. I think Thursday's supposed to have the best weather, so I'm going to try again on that day. So I retraced my steps, which I would have had to do anyway to do this part of the trip. And now we ascend to Villa Jovis, named after Jove, Jupiter of course, in the Roman incarnation, which is where Tiberius ruled the known world. And while he was doing this, it's when Christ was active in Judea. It's a very important historical time. Yeah, I didn't want to chance the rustic path, because of course one could plunge Icarus-like, you know, about 1,000 feet into the Tyrrhenian, probably get smashed up on the rocks as well. That would have been a bit hubristic, though quite frankly, if Icarus tried flying today, the wind would be with him, and it's not hot enough for the wax to melt, so maybe he was onto something, maybe the conditions were just wrong. You imagine carrying the emperor down here on a litter circa 30 AD. Imagine me with the poor little donkeys or horses that had to make this way. So Villa Jovis is closed as well. Obviously everything in Capri stops a heavy rain. I mean, I can understand it, because most people are not going to make these trips. So although Villa Jovis is closed, Parco Astarita is open, and I just gave the caretaker, the old chap, €1, because it's whatever you want to sort of pay really. I've been in here before. There's some quite nice belvederes we can have a look from. So yeah, look at this. The northeast aspect of the island, looking south though here. So fantastic. And here's a typical Caprese belvedere. I've got about 7% left on the battery and 27 minutes left on the SD card. Oh, we've actually got a pretty good view here actually of the Sorrentine Peninsula. Wow, yeah, okay, this is great. And we'll be heading and the latest. So what you can see straight ahead of you there, that's the Sorrentine Peninsula. It's not the Sorrento Peninsula, it's the Sorrentine Peninsula. So Sorrento is off to the left, and that's the area sort of known as Massalubrente, and that's the Amalfi Coast down there. So down there we have Positano, Amalfi, Atrani, Ravello, Minori, Maori, Vetri sulla Mare. So yes, got quite a good view. Obviously very cloudy, but we'll show you some more. So, and you'll get the vertiginous aspect. Now of course Capri is limestone. Almost everything down here in this part of Campania is volcanic, because of course Vesuvius isn't far away. And yeah, there's some goats. Fantastic. I've never been along this bit actually. This is great. It's really nice to do parts of Capri I haven't done, even though the weather's not ideal. At least it gives you an idea. So I'm thinking now, come in June, it's more crowded in June, it's more expensive in June, but you probably will have great weather. I came to Sorrento in June 2005 and it was really warm and it was fantastic, and I was at a book selling conference, and that's when I fell in love with this area. My parents had already been here and talked about it, but you know, it's like you don't listen to your mum and dad, and you should. There they are, the goats of Capri. You're why we're here, guys. This is good actually, better than I thought. Over the other side, yeah, birds are singing. 4% left on the battery. Should we just go along and see these little guys? So nice to come here and see goats. The video widow loves goats. She'd like some, but we haven't got a big enough place. Hey guys! Representing Pan, the god of panic, of course. Dionysus, Bacchus, later Delos. Hello! How friendly are you? You're probably going to bet me now, aren't you? You're quite friendly. You think I'm going to feed you. And there's a little kid down there. There he is. Can see Casa Commi, Curcio Malaparte's villa, the red structure. Wow, and we're going to take a walk along there later on, the Pizzolungo walk. I have been on that peak which is immediately there. First time I came, when I was looking at the Pizzolungo and I took a wrong turn. Yeah, so there it is. And you're seeing a little bit of the turquoise sea, which the Amalfi Coast is well known. Somebody's taking a boat trip. Maybe I'll take a boat trip. I can't imagine there'll be many. And just beyond Casa Commi, that little island is Monacone, and there's the Farlione there. This is a great park. As I say, I've been in here, but not all these bits, because of course when the weather's good you head to the most obvious destination, which is Villa Jovis. Amazing. Great little belvedere here, and these are sort of right the way around the island. There's some places where it's too vertiginous, and one of my ambitions in life is to visit every single one. Oh, I'm really pleased you can see Casa Commi from here. Fantastic. House like me, built 1937 to 1941. Malaparte took over the design and build himself. He'd just come back from an island called Lipari, where he was exiled by Mussolini for writing a book called The Technique of Coup d'etat. And he began as a fascist, but he sort of gradually crossed the floor in his life and he ended up a communist, a bit like Oswald Mosley, except he kind of went the other way. He was never really a communist. And, you know, Malaparte was a big liar. You know, he was a writer who focused on lying as the way of writing. He wrote reportage, but like Bruce Chatwin, you know, he never let a good story get in the way of the truth. So he's one of my idols. Very difficult to read at times. And Casa Con Me, House Like Me, there's a great collection of stories called Woman Like Me, and the title story is absolutely gorgeous, and I'll try and do a voiceover where I read part of it. And the stories are very surreal, but they're very beautiful. They have amazing prose. If you like surrealism, modernism, they really are the thing. They're fantastic. Yeah, and he's somebody I discovered through reading about Capri and coming here, and he's one of my idols, really. Despite the bad weather and the disappointments, I am having a great day. Actually, I'm really enjoying this. So I hope it's at least giving you an idea of what Capri is like and what you can enjoy if you're sort of a more thoughtful traveller, more interested in history and culture. It's because most people come here for the glitz and they have no idea about this. And I sound terribly snobby, I know, but it's the fact, it's the truth. Very little of this is in the guidebooks. I just thought we'd have a look at this lower belvedere. There's a bench. I may even risk a sit down because my feet are holding up quite well despite sort of recent problems. I've got my Skechers on, which are size 12 wide fit. Wow. Yeah, this is fantastic. Look at that. Imagine having that villa there, perched on the edge. It's almost certainly 1,000 feet down there. I was just talking to two really nice French guys who were only here for a couple of days, and they said that apparently Villa Jovis is closed because of a strike. Not the sort of thing the Emperor Tiberius would have put up with for 2 minutes, is it really? But you know, my sympathy is with strikers. What I'm going to do now is go and have a look at the other belvederes and see what they're like. And have a look down here because I noticed there's some steps here. This could be quite scary. Oh, okay, well, we'll have a look. Capri, as I said before, is the essence of the sublime. Bear with me because I'm just going to get my selfie stick in a more firm hold. Look at that. Now, this isn't the actual Tiberian leap, but the theory is that when somebody upset the emperor, he would have them thrown off one of the cliffs. Wasn't this one, it was over the far side, actually on the far side of Villa Jovis, which you can't see unfortunately, but it gives you an idea. And it was, you know, 1,000 feet, as to say, to the rocks below, and he would have soldiers down there ready to batter them in case they survived the fall. So you know, at least that's the legend. But some say, you know, he was like a scholarly old guy, you know, and he just wanted to sort of escape from the responsibilities of being Roman emperor. Look at this. That's where the goats were, up there. Beautiful trees and limestone, as you see. Let's take a look at those views. Got the selfie stick firmly in the hand. Wow. Fantastic. I think you'll agree, this is the sublime, the awe, the terror, the beauty of the natural world. The sublime is the essence of Romanticism, which itself led to modernism via the decadent movement. We're going to check things out up there at Belvedere and do those ones as well. We may as well. Has to be said, if you don't like heights, you shouldn't really come here. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of heights myself, but how can you not? do this. There's a little belvedere you can sit at. And we're going to go down here, right to the very point. Wow, so great to be discovering something I haven't done before on Capri. It's great. Plenty of seagulls, as you can hear. Perhaps that's the origin of the siren's cry, but I like seagulls myself. I mean, I think they're marvellous examples of evolution, but I wouldn't call this song melodious or beautiful. Yeah, that's where the little goats were up there. That's the main belvedere. Look at this. Rhapsodic stuff. The wind has picked up quite a lot. The sun is popping out intermittently. It's not warm enough for lizards. And you can't really tell whether it's going to rain and storm or whether it's going to improve. It looks darker over the peninsula to me. You can just see part of the edge of the villa there. Or is that a later tower? I think it is. I suspect this gull is worried that I'm getting near to its nest and its chicks. So we'll see what we can do to allay its fears. Another little place to sit down. I had to sit down a few minutes ago and change the battery in the SD card. And yeah, again, fantastic view of Casa Commi. What I find here is that my spirit just lifts, but I guess that's because I'm such a European romantic at heart. You know, romanticism had a big impact on me, not initially through the reading of the poets and what have you, though I have read them, but initially through things like rock and roll, you know, through Hawkwind and David Bowie and a lot of the typical Euro-romantic rock artists. Wow, look at that. I'm taking this very slowly. You can see that's a trail from a boat. It's not a contrail. A contrail, of course, is from a plane. Well, I have to say that was fantastic, but I'm absolutely shattered. Let's see, it's coming up to 11:30. if I walk back down now towards Via Matermania, the Arco Naturale, there's a bar there, which in theory will hopefully be open at 12, but we'll see, because I could really do with a sit down, some refreshment, that sort of thing. I decided to have a beer in that little bar there as an insurance policy, because the bar next to the Arco Naturale isn't always open. It opens 12 till 2 and I'm not sure if it'll be open today because the weather's not that great, but we'll see. If it is, I'll have another beer there. But that little bar, I hadn't been there since 2010, and me and the video widow had a really great glass of freshly squeezed orange juice then. It was fantastic after the heat of Villa Jovis. So we're heading down to Matermania now. And just to put it into context, the beer was supposed to be £5.50, and I gave the owner a €10 note and he gave me £5 back, which was great. So a little discount there, because obviously it's quite quiet because the weather's so bad. And I chat with a charming young English couple who are over here for the first time, told them to come back when it's sunny. But they seem to be enjoying it, which was nice. So we're going to do the Pizzolungo now, come what may. I have eaten here. It's got really, really nice views. Absolutely beautiful, as you can see. The palette. The artist colours around the door. Isn't that fantastic? I can't recall if this little seating area was under construction last time I came, or whether it was just that there were lots of people here. There's not many places like this on Capri where you can sit. Ceramics is a big thing around here, especially down Vietri sulla Mare. Yeah, they love Maradona and his chums around here. They really do. You can't blame them, I guess. Again, a residential area. You hear cockerels in the background. You hear that quite a lot on Capri, particularly on this side of the island. I say it wasn't always this lush. It was due to the planting of people like Axel Monte and Ignacio Scirio that really sort of made the island more verdant. It was quite sort of sparse if you look at really old pictures of it. We're walking down now, as you can see, where we're heading towards. Obviously Villa Jovis is up that way when I was in the park with the goats. So yeah, and that's the Arco Naturale down there on the right. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. And people are sailing. Look, there's some sailing going on. There's a regular mini regatta going on. And the bar is closed, which is a shame. I've only managed to get here once when it's been open, and that was in 2010. Yes, if you can get here between 12 and 2 when it's open, it really is quite something special. But I've only managed it once. The last couple of times I just got the timing wrong. I assumed it would be open all afternoon. There's a chopper there, helicopter going across the bay, and I'll try and show you the heliport in Capri a bit later on this week. It really is drizzling now. This is the worst it's been since about 7 this morning. But I'm determined to show you the Arco Naturale. So we're going to keep on keeping on. Time for a rant now, I feel. Why is the weather so bad and unpredictable all over the world these days? Well, it's because of climate change. Why is the climate change? Because of fossil fuels. Why have we burnt so much carbon in such a short period of time? Because of overpopulation. I was reading New Scientist recently, and the world population is now past 8 billion. When I was born 60 years ago, it was 4 billion. It's doubled in my lifetime in 60 years, which is ridiculous. It's all these people having more and more and more children, creating more and more demand for fossil fuels and things. And you can talk about what you like about sustainability, but it's also destroying the natural world. People are taking up space, taking up habitat, and it's just really not good enough. So haven't they read Soylent Green? Make room, make room. This is why this normally beautiful place in May is like this. And the worst, of course, is yet to come. This is the Pizzolungo, and really I'm wondering whether I'm going to do it or not, because there's pretty much a full-blown thunderstorm here and the water's running down the steps. But I'm soaked to the skin anyway. I've come this far. I may as well see what I can do and hope for the best on the weather. Okay, so I descended the steps, and this is Grotto Matromania, which the Romans used to perform Mithraic rites in here. I haven't been here for a few years. And as you can hear, there's some French tourists here, because of course it's a dry spot. The rain has actually stopped now. And back, I think it was in about 2013, Baron Fersen decided to do some Mithraic rites of his own down here with Nino Cesarani, his lover, and his Singhalese boy servants, and there was a certain amount of chanting and wearing of classical garb and some flogging with leaves. And a local shepherd girl saw it, and she ran back and told everybody. So Fersen was once more persona non grata on Capri, and he had to flee to the Far East again. So yes, I'm absolutely soaked here, but this is a great site. Grotto Matromania. Grotto, of course, just means cave. Quite something, isn't it? And there again is one of the cats of Capri. He's probably quite a long way from home. Just show you some of the Pizzolungo steps. This is the lower section. As you can see, it's quite vertiginous, so I've got to watch my footing, so I'm not going to film too much down here. Just imagine all the work that went into those steps and this path, because of course, you know, this just isn't round the corner from the builder's yard, and obviously this has been a path for a very long time, but you know, it really is quite something. There's every possibility, of course, that I'll redo this if there's one sunny day, because this is my favourite bit. But I thought I shouldn't let it hold me back. Am I down in the mouth? But of course I am. It's cost, you know, lots of money, and it's time planning, and you know, when I came before, I wasn't shooting video and just taking photographs and didn't have the channel going. But what's interesting is I've talked to a lot of people today, and mostly French and Americans, all charming, and started talking about different places, and none of them seemed, apart from two French guys who clearly knew about Villa Lysis, I suspect they were gay, nobody knows anything. I just talked to an American couple who went the wrong way up the steps, and they said, oh, you know, who did the red house belong to? So I did my little lecture about Malaparte, but that's outlaw bookseller for you. I mean, it's like everywhere. I'm not a well-travelled guy, but the thing is, if you read about places, not always, but they often have fascinating histories of literature and culture. I mean, this is particularly, you know, quite something. It's a little sea view, as you see, it's very wooded, and obviously in nice weather this is fantastic because you're shaded and you still get the warmth and you can hear the sea. Fantastic. So, you know, so if you're coming to Capri, hopefully you'll have better weather than I've had, and this is the walk to do, and do it this way, clockwise from the Piazzetta, not anti-clockwise, because you've got to go up a huge amount of steps, which I didn't film. But yeah, I love it here. It really is great. I mean, even in this weather and I'm soaking wet, it's just an incredible place. It really is. Very handily placed. But it's before you do the big steps as opposed to after. But, you know, it is what it is. But if you've come this far, you may need it. That's the thing. So we ascend a little way, not too far, luckily enough. Oh. Those few steps, wow. I could feel the sinews in my legs really working, so this is kind of good for me because I'm going to ruin it all later with more beer, but there you go, you only live once. And just down there you can see the path to Casa Commi, which, as I say, is private. But I do get very tempted just to wander down there. So maybe we'll have a look now. I never nerved myself to do it. So I don't think anybody actually lives in the casa, or even if there's a caretaker, but we'll see. Pretty unequivocal. What would Malaparte do? How would he feel about me taking some steps down there? I respect people's property too much to actually do it, of course. It's 3:15. I just walked to the supermarket at the end of Via Roma. It's just tucked around the corner, and for €15 I got a load of beer and drinks which I can stick in the minibar and chill them, and some Italian crisps, bit of chocolate for biscotti, and most importantly, William Brow Das beer. I've never come across this, but it's fantastic. I used to drink a lot of, and it's chilled of course, I used to drink a lot of Lowenbrow here on Capri, and it was back in 2010 to 2016, it was the beer you'd see everywhere. But there seems to be a resurgence towards Italian beer, particularly Peroni. They've done a Capri limited edition, which I've not seen here actually, but this is a lot cheaper, obviously, having some snacks on hand and what have you. So I'm just going to have a drink.